Hey guys, V-Man, No Budget Productions, and we're chatting Star Trek Discovery with my good friend BigJ. BigJ, how we doing?
Doing pretty good. How you doing tonight?
Oh, finer than frog hair, man. If I was any happier, you'd have to get a stick and beat me with it. Speaking of beating me with sticks, JD, how are we doing, man? What's that, man?
I'm just wondering, when did I beat you with a stick?
Oh, that's in my dreams. I'm sorry, man. That's what I want. Sorry, fantasy fetish. I don't know.
Getting really weird, really fast.
We're all tired. It's a late Friday night. Well, what do you expect?
It's been a good day, though. Thank you.
Good deal. But speaking of weird and really up late, Mikki, how are we doing?
I drove all the way to LA today.
Good deal.
It only goes a little less than half impulse though, so it took 4.5 hours.
You drove to LA. Oh man.
Wow.
I drive to LA every weekend for Renaissance Fair.
Oh.
Dude, that's awesome. Awesome.
I sit in a dunk tank and yell insults at people.
There you go.
Is anyone shocked?
That sounds like fun.
It is the funnest job in the world.
So with us in the chat, we have Daniel Vance. Says greetings and salutations. Hey, Daniel Vance. How are we doing, my friend? Hey, Daniel, I shot you a text last night. Didn't know if you got it or not. Hit me back up, man. I got something to show you. Sounded really creepy and weird, but yeah, the way the night's gone so far in the show, it's probably it's going to be
with sticks, so it's fine.
And then we got William Wills who says, Nanu, my friend. Hey, William Wills, good to see you, Bill, my good friend. So, okay, let's start. We had last night's Star Trek Discovery Season 5, Episode 4. Mikki, let's start with you. You always seem to be a chatterbug of these episodes. What are your thoughts?
I did a little rewatch, too. I have 2 words. Filler episode.
Okay, that's a whole...
What?
I mean, you're not...
It wasn't a filler episode. We cannot have filler episodes in a 10-season series. Like, you just can't. I mean, I'm glad that, you got some background, and I think that's all we're getting on your faves. But it felt like by the end of it, especially like during it, like how bad are our censors really? But it really just felt like a filler episode, and I was very disappointed that we wasted so much time.
I was more disappointed with the wig. I was more disappointed with the wig that they put on Michael Burnham, because that was...
Oh God, I thought I was awful for noticing the shit out of that.
Well, I've been going back through season 1 of Discovery because I figure we're on season 5. I'll go back and watch season 1, see if it's as bad as I think it was. And I've actually been enjoying it a lot more. Since we've been doing this podcast, I'm like, I'll go back and watch season 1 and see if I enjoy it. And I have. And it stood out like a sore thumb. I was like, what the hell is that?
Wait, which wig though? Because for me, her puffy hair with the thing in the front, like classic Michael Burnham, love it. Love that look. That's how I make my little Michael Burnham dolls, with that little puff in the front. It was the wig, the braided wig, that to me was so far off her scalp. There was no way that was braided on her. No,
it was the one from season 1 where it was just like, "Hi, how you doing? Like
that hair.
No,
honestly, though, if you ever had to wear them, like some of us do, you would actually notice that the worst wig in that the whole thing was her braids, because it was so far off of her scalp line.
I think it's the fact that it doesn't match the first season.
Well, me and BigJ are big wig wearers. You may not know this, but we do, especially when we have to braid it. So it struck us right a chord.
If you don't have a ton of hair underneath, like some of us, it puffs it up a little bit. You can never really get it. Like, you can try to get it as flush to the scalp as possible. But to me, I liked the old school Michael Burnham wig. I thought they did a great job. I thought it wasn't old school.
No, it looked like. Are you guys familiar with Doctor Who?
Yes.
You know the Ood, how they have the tentacle things there? Like, That's what it reminded me of. Like, her hair, just like that. Like, I was like, where the fuck is the Ood? Like, all she needed was to do was carry a ball around, and she'd look right at home. Like, it was really odd. And
we went after different wigs. That's just hilarious. I was like, yeah, wig, and you're like, no, which wig? I'm like, no, not that one.
But at the heart, we both hated Michael Burnham. That was, and which is paramount to the show. No pun intended.
Especially And just I'm gonna throw this out there. Save Lower Decks. Hashtag save Lower Decks.
Save Lower Decks. Yes, save Lower Decks. Yeah.
They literally pulled from Lower Decks when the paradox of her fighting herself. It's like therapy.
Well, they pulled from a lot. They pulled from a lot of things. Like what would have really been awesome is if for no reason Chakotay would have just walked around in the background, just one split second. They could rip it from any episode because it's not like we noticed him in Voyager anyway. But the one time, I thought this made a much better half-assed Voyager episode than it did a redo Discovery episode, because this wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. I didn't hate it.
No, I didn't hate it. I do feel it was a filler episode, and we can't afford a filler episode in 10 episodes a season.
I think you're right. I agree with you on that. It did in some ways kind of feel like a filler when we don't have that kind of time for that. But
yeah,
again,
Mikki, we need to do a whole show discussing that article.
What time? This is no time to argue about time. The article
where Kurtzman was talking about filler episodes.
Oh, I don't read it.
You have? Oh, I thought that's what you were talking about.
No, I know a filler episode when I see one.
Well, no, literally earlier this week, Kurtzman.
JD, I can't hear you there. You might be muted.
Kurtzman interviewed.
Oh, no, I can hear you a little bit now.
I thought my internet was bad. I'm borrowing it from
connection is.
Oh, bad connection. Well, while your connection's working on coming back in, I thought for a moment that they were going to be making a connection finally to Calypso, to the short trek episode, because there were some elements there, like it kind of obliquely referenced it. But the thing is, as I thought about it more, there's just no fitting Calypso into Discovery, because it's just what they told in that story, and then what's happened with Discovery as a series is just nothing matches up, because the ship in Calypso is the Discovery pre-refit, and now the Discovery's in the future. They've had that refit done, so it's like it just took it out of it. There's no good way to explain that short trek and to fit it in now. So I think they just need to let it go. They got as close as they could to sort of referencing it, but I think that was it. It would have been cool if it would have been like 1,000 years, or like if we had seen hints of like that dude being there or something. Like if it would have been like that, since we know that in that future like doesn't particularly happen or whatnot, like if that short trek would have taken place in an alternate future, kind of like if we had gotten a short trek of what happened in yesterday's Enterprise, like one of a side venture there, like and we're just misinterpreting what we saw there, where it's not the future but it's a future, right?
And that would have been really cool, because then it would have been like they would have been trolling us of just telling an alternate timeline, future, and that would have been really cool. I
wrote, "Hi Zora, dead." You can hear how lonely she is, and said, "Oh, thank goodness they know what's going to happen if they don't fix this." So I don't think that had anything to do with Calypso, because that was an alternative. Ooh, if you don't stop them, this is what happens. Poor Zora's left all by herself.
Right.
So I think that doesn't even exist. Oh no, just like JD.
Looks like we lost JD. Yeah, I think his connection. We were having problems with him last week with the connection. Hopefully he comes back. I
guess I could read that article, but honestly, I just know a filler episode when I see one.
Well, the thing about this is like, and here's the thing, like, taking out the fact that this is they made this episode before they knew they were canceled. And that's what's so sad about having a filler episode. Like, I don't mind this because I actually feel like I learned more about the crew than I did, especially with Reese.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, I didn't know the dude was fucking tactical, but I'll always remember that because I'm like, oh, douchebag said he was a tactical officer, so awesome. Like, that's cool. Like, I will always remember that, not because like they put him at tactical, but I'm like, oh, he said it tactical. Like, I will always remember that, and it took 5 years to get there. But it sucked because it's in a filler episode that was better. That was done better, here than it was in a Voyager episode. So the fact that this was kind of part 2 redone in a worse show, done better in the cancellation season, it's like, oh, so there's so much that I liked about it, but overall the episode wasn't great. And the thing that really bothered me about this episode, I loved the fact that we saw Michael Burnham, Captain Burnham, going back to a season where nobody really liked her, didn't trust her, because it reminded me of, oh, I didn't like her then, I still don't like her, I'd fucking shoot her too. But the thing is,
she was a mutineer.
Yeah.
She's being transported as a prisoner, but just happens to be needed as a specialist because Lorca, who they don't know is.
See, and that's the thing. I'm still hoping that Lorca comes back at some season because we still don't know what happened to Prime Lorca. They say he's dead, but like, come on, man. Like, we didn't see it, so it didn't happen. And Mirror Lorca got shroomed all up in that giant energy ball. Yeah. So who knows what the fuck that means? Yeah, like, dude.
I do feel like Prime Lorca probably isn't with us because every time they kind of, it's like, oh, that's Mirror Universe Lorca, Terran Empire. I pictured the episode where Picard didn't get stabbed in the chest and everything was restored to its natural timeline, but he was like an ensign, bald, 100 years old. He was like, hey, ensign so-and-so, or very lower, maybe a commander, but still. It's like, this isn't how it's supposed to be. Well, if you hadn't gotten stabbed in the chest, then that's how your life was.
I think what would be great is if that Constitution class mirror ship that's supposed to come at some point has like Prime Lorca, where he's like, fuck it, I'm stealing the Defiant, I'm coming up. Like, that would be awesome because it's like, yeah, like, that would be cool.
Part about merchandising and marketing, it'd be the Defiant. We have plenty of Price Plus stuff. We have plenty of all the other stuff. If they want to market directly, because merchandising, they'll make it the Defiant, and that'll be a big selling ship again. That
would be cool and have like Prime Lorca come up and be like, well, who the hell are you? Because he has no idea any of this shit happened. He's just trying to get home. And like, how cool would that be for the crew to be like, dude, Lorca? Like, I mean, that would be a nice way for Jason Isaacs, I think is his name. Yeah. Like a nice story.
Malfoy, yes.
Yeah, like, it would be cool to see because he was one of my favorite captains. Even when he was bad, I was like, oh, dude, yeah, because I mean, we all love a little badness in our people. It's cool. He was cool.
Captain Killy.
Yeah, but the whole thing about this episode seriously was like they gave us a lot of good character stuff, but the one thing I didn't buy was when everybody on the season 1 Discovery is all looking at Burnham, face disappointed, and she's like, "Oh, I know how you die, and it's because you're saving everybody here." And they're like, "Oh, you wouldn't do that." She's like, "Oh, I would do that." And it's like,
Ariam was taken over by Control.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that Ariam herself would do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's literally taken over by Control, and they just ejected her into space, essentially. I mean,
yeah, like what? But here's my question.
I wouldn't have gone with how you guys died.
Like, no, like it was written poorly. To me, it was like, what's Starfleet officer realistically, who's worked with anybody for 6 months or so, who's gotten to know their fellow, officers, in their time, in their real time, would not give their life for a fellow officer. And that, for them to say, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Like, why would any of them say that? That doesn't make any sense. She wouldn't do that. Like,
part of the job description, essentially.
Yeah. That whole conversation did not make any sense. To me, it would have been like, look, one of your memories was this. And that would have made more sense.
Yeah, I would have brought up something that I knew about them personally. Thus giving us more character background as well.
You know, for her, I mean, given the fact that your last moments was spent with Michael Burnham, for you to say, look, you told me this in your final moments, for her to say, look, that is something I would say. Yes, guys, stop. Like, pull on the heartstrings of this character's final moment, and for her to say, oh my God, yeah, I would. You're right. I would shockingly, you're right. I was taken over by something. Guys, no. Hey, yes, we will follow you. Like, to me, it's like, you're telling me the writers couldn't think of something better?
It's because they didn't watch. It's like Jar Jar Abrams not watching Space Seed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
He clearly never saw that episode. Otherwise, we never would have had Into Darkness. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
So it's just a lack of research. It's a lack of effort. It's a lack of tuning in to us who are going to watch this and literally criticize their lack of research.
Yeah, like I like the Reno stuff, like her like fist bumping the Commander douchebag. I love that. I loved all the douchebag stuff. I loved Stamets stuff. Like there was a lot there that I loved. Like I would have loved for them to end on Janet Reno going, or not Janet. Yeah, damn it. Sorry, guy. Like I would love for that, like for them to kind of pay that off. Like, hey, let's go get a drink.
Yeah.
For her to maybe remember, like. You don't have to say, you don't have to pay that off. But I mean, for me, that would have been like kind of like how Guinan and Geordi at the end of yesterday's Enterprise, for her to be like, hey, Geordi, talk about Tasha Yar. Like, it's not a direct reference, but it's kind of hinted at, like, hey, for you guys to talk about like getting a drink or something, like talk about like some connection where for some reason she kind of
them literally walking into that bar with the doors whooshing behind them.
Exactly. So to me, it's like, again, something that's built off of where it's organic for us, the fans. Because again, I bought that chemistry between those two characters. Like you're both off, you're off your rocker. And the thing about like, I like this character, not, this is the way they have the character. You were a captain and you don't want to be the XO on this ship because you were a captain, you used to do things a certain way. Here's the way I would write the character. You went through all this shit during the burn. How many people go through management and manage it and then go to a job and they're like, you know what? I don't want to fucking manage anymore. I'm done. I went through all this shit. Fuck it. I'm going to go to a job where I'm like, I can kick back. I'll let you do the hard shit. I'm going to help you out when I can. That should be this dude where he's like, you know what? I went through the burn. That was a lot of crap. Now we don't have to. I can't wait to explore. You know what? Let's do this. And that's where I hope they're headed with this guy because I like the actor. I don't see him as a poor man's... what was that? What's that douchey bag in Picard season 3? That him. I don't see him as a poor. Yeah, I don't see him as a poor man's Shaw, but I like him.
Literally,
and I hope
pillow. I like my Shaw pillow so much. It's got all those little sayings on it, like no.
I hope that's the direction they go with him, though, where he's like, I'm no longer interested in being a captain. I'm just interested in being me and being here. And I felt like that's where they headed in this episode. Even though I didn't like the episode, I liked the character shit that they gave us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think Time Bug
that was pretty cool. I like the Time Bug.
That was really fun. I really enjoyed it. They're like, how are we going to explain this? We're just all we have to say is Time Bug, and I all get it. He's the only one who this is probably the newest, most adventurous experience that he's had. He's probably never been in a temporal causality loop before, or any kind of time loop. Yeah, I did it.
Right.
Did it!
Sorry, guys.
You're good, man. You're good, brother. No, like that. You're right. Like I like the fact that they mentioned Krenum. Like all the shit that we know from like it's almost like they're looking back as fans, because it's all old hat to them, kind of like Lower Decks. Like all the shit's old hat,
Sometimes.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
They do tend to miss the mark every once in a while with like the tiniest bit of details. But I did feel like they drew from other Star Treks, stuff like that. And I enjoyed the episode very much. I just, when we have 20-something episodes, great. Fill those up with like the Royale and stuff like that. But I hate that episode so much. Like it's
I
always
actually
on
like
Paramount
that one
Plus,
quite a
I'm like-
bit.
I'm like, I hate
But
this.
wasn't it about time that we got a little more time, or at least the last time we're going to get of learning anything about the other?
Yeah. No, I
Bridge
think
crew
that's as much backstory as we're ever going to get. And I think that I hope it filled a need, but I really do feel like you're right. I think that's it. They filled it in. They probably were going to expand on it maybe, and didn't know we didn't need a filler episode. But again, with 10 episodes in a season, let's get to the point. We've lost 6 hours and now they're all back like, oh, we're all back. And now we know what to do. And now we know what happens if we don't do it. And I'm like, where's that urgency we've been missing? We just lost 6 hours.
Well, the thing I like about it is that that they do have to catch up and make up for lost time. It really feels like more of a race where that lead changes hands.
Yeah.
And so it really is like, okay, who's going to make it there first?
We know.
So I like the suspense that they put in there.
I think we know.
Well, of course we know, but
I think I know how it ends. It's like watching Oppenheimer. I know how this ends.
Or Titanic.
Yeah, I know exactly how this ends. But yeah, no, I enjoyed getting to know the characters more, especially the bridge crew, ones that we're familiar with, the ones that literally we were just talking about the other day, having more background on them. We got it. We absolutely got it. We got it in the extent that they're going to give it. Again, a little too much with the blue and their thing in the beginning. Like, oh, thank God we're still friends. Then they
the least amount of time they can spend on that, the better.
Yeah, it was. I was like, don't.
Because honestly, it's like it's a short season. We don't got time for this. I don't know. To me, it just does not. It doesn't seem interesting, like at all. That storyline between Adira and Gray.
They made such a big deal out of it. Remember the whole pronoun? We had a discussion, you and I.
Yeah, we did.
About again, where I have no place speaking about it. Oh.
Are they together? Are they not? Like, was she looking back at past? Like, my thing is like, look, you stop dating.
They were like video chatting about the Gray's graduation from moving on to the next step of Trill.
Okay, because I couldn't tell what point they were trying to get across. Like, I'm just tired of all this, like, will they, won't they, from anybody. Like, I don't care if it's Gray and Adira or if it's Booker and Michael. Like, I don't give a shit about any of it. I'm still like, I'm happy that we finally know what the fuck Reese is doing, but I'm pissed that we took 5 seasons to get there. We're still will they, won't they for all these other people. I don't fucking care. Like, pick a road, stick with it. Like, show me a happy couple like Stamets and Dr. Hottie, or like, there you go. Like, I'm just
but that body,
the body we all wish we had, you know.
Yeah.
I'm tired of them telling the wrong stories that I can't relate to, and I want to relate to stuff. It's just like, look, if you want to tell a story of Adira and Gray, okay, I'm on board. I don't care if they're straight, gay, trans, whatever. Like, I don't care. Because, I mean, hell, I would have watched a story with Garrick and Bashir together if that was the story you wanted.
That's the true love story.
Yeah, dude, I'm still convinced they were, he was giving, Jadzia a run for her money, But what's that now?
She was his beard.
But, it's just the whole thing of, pick a road, stick with it. I don't care about this unhealthy relationship shit that, I wouldn't want to sit there. I mean, it sounds like my coworkers that bicker and tell me about their problems. And I'm like, hey, go to fucking work. I don't care, So I don't want to watch. What's that now?
My boyfriend in Canada. Long distance, and I didn't like that she got to make out with Book again.
Yeah, that to me, that was so jarring because it's like, why is this here?
like, what break is that for her? Which catching a break is that for her? 1 million now at this point?
Yeah.
But she just catches every break. And I don't know. I think she would, just because of where they're at now, I think she would have been a lot more like, okay, you know what? I really don't have time to make out. I'd love to. I love you in this timeline. We've grown apart in the future since I'm telling everybody everything and I'm just breaking temporal law left and right. Like, hey, guess how you die? Hey, by the way, I know how you die. You know, fuck temporal law. You know, so again, like I said, I didn't like when she pointed out how people died. I think she could have. Ariam had that memory on the walking on the beach with the husband before the accident that I think killed him and maimed her and turned her to what she is. Was that her memory?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why didn't she bring that up?
I don't know. Like,
no, literally, no way Michael Burnham would have known that during that timeline. Right? It would have proven that she was from the future,
Right.
without breaking temporal law.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole thing was. It was this whole film, or not film. This whole episode felt like this was the first draft of an episode that was written. You know, something where it's like you can tell the inspiration was that season 7 episode of Voyager Shattered with Chakotay, which again, that's one of my favorite season 7 episodes. I think that is my favorite season 7 episode because I love Chakotay, and I don't think they did anything with the character. And I mean, I think season 7 was kind of a missed season for me. I think they should have gotten home because they didn't do anything that last season. I think they should have explored what they did when they got home. Because
did they not know they were being canceled?
What's that? Season 7? Yeah.
Is it another situation where they had no idea this wasn't going to continue?
No, they knew. They knew it was over in season 7. They just didn't. It was one of those like, we can't get home because then what would be the point of the show? And it's like,
right.
The fact that we're stuck with these.
The entire point of the show is to get you guys home. I mean, minus all the stopping in between.
Yeah, no, like it was one of those shows where it was just a bunch of missed opportunity. I felt like I really felt like, look, get at least midway through the season, get them home so we can see the ramifications of what does it mean to get home. Like you can see all the so real quick, JD makes a sorry guys, my connection is not letting me on tonight. See you next week. Hey JD, it was glad to see you on while we could, and I'm glad we had that stick hitting, banter with you and me, man. No worries. Have a good week, brother. Be safe. But it was one of those things where I see that like Voyager's last shot was Voyager flying to Earth, and I see why they wanted that, but I would have rather had 10 episodes, that last half season of Voyager where, hey, Admiral, who's my dad? I'm glad to be back home. Here's your son, or here's your grandson, or hey, Admiral Janeway, what do we do with all these Maquis people that are on your ship? Do you want to fight for them? Do they go to penal colonies now? Like, what do we do with all this technology that we have? Like, what are the ramifications? And although I'm glad with Picard season 3 of what we have with seeing Tuvok back and what we finally did with 7 and 9, I feel like we needed closure for the crew for who stuck it out for 6.5 seasons that would have rather gone and watched something else. And that's kind of what I feel with this episode is the episode was done on Voyager better, and I feel like this needed at least a couple more polishes to be like, hey, where do we want to explore with the people that stuck with Discovery? And part of the problem with doing episodes like this where we're looking at the past is with Voyager, you had a lot of episodic shows where you could pick and choose. When you have overarching shows that are only taking place over the course of like maybe a couple weeks, or stuff where you can't really say, oh, during this episode we had the picture plants, in this episode we had this, and this episode, like you have so many adventures. You couldn't really do that here where you're like, wait, what was happening here? Where you're like, I don't know, it all blurred together, dude.
10 episodes per season. That's what happens.
Yeah.
You only get 10 episodes per season. The quality needs to, since the quantity is down, the quality needs to rise.
Yeah. And it didn't. It didn't. It shined on the one aspect of You got to know Captain Douchebag. You got to know the position of Reese, and you got to fist bump with Reno. But everything else kind of fell by the wayside, like the wig budget for whichever side of the spectrum you're on.
Whichever, it literally says in here the wigs. I'm like, the wigs, bad wig. I think also too, when they went to the future, where the Federation had been destroyed, show us what's out there. If they hadn't seen, the Breen ship and the Federation headquarters, all what's left of it. Honestly, I kind of wish they had sort of materialized into nothing, into just space.
That would have been cool, like a void.
Like the lone left shuttlecraft from Discovery, and it's the only piece of Discovery that they can materialize into in that future because Discovery's gone.
It would have been cool. Oh, real quick. Hey, Jefferson, I know you said you retired, and we agreed kind of only to a half hour. We're at the half hour mark. If you need to dip out, you're not going to hurt my feelings, man. So I know me and Mikki are kind of running a little long here. If you need to dip out, man, don't feel the need.
Yeah. I am. It's been a long week, so I'm going to.
All right, man.
That out. You guys enjoy the rest of the talks. Sorry, it was.
Hey, you're good, man. You're good, brother.
It's late for you. It's what, only 8:30 for me?
Yeah, 11:30 for me.
You're good, man. Thank you for joining us, brother. I appreciate it. For those that don't know, we switched it to tonight because last night I took off from work and I was in dad mode. I was seeing my son in his program at school, so we switched it from last night to tonight. So that's why we decided to do it rather late. And thank you, BigJ, for accommodating me, and Mikki and JD
for. Worked out perfect. I was at Viva Las Vegas last night.
Awesome.
So I was only going to go for a little bit, and I was like, I'm going to stay all night. Now
I'll catch you guys later, okay?
All right. Thank you, BigJ.
All right. See you.
But go ahead, Mikki. What were you saying on?
Well, again, I think that when a more realistic, because it was, again, I have here noted, like, oh, thank goodness we know what happens if you don't succeed. Like, we know. It's pandering almost. Like, well, we definitely were throwing them all through time and space. We definitely have to get them into the future so they can see what happens. We're not stupid. We know what's going to happen if they don't, if the Genesis project gets put in the hands of the Klingons, because, again, it's essentially that to me at this point.
See, I feel like this episode needed a couple more revisions because it felt to me like it was very much a by the numbers time travel, but you're only stuck in these bottle episodes, and we've got to go back through our wardrobe to see what we can pick and choose. And it was almost like you sat there, check mark.
Oh,
gotta go to the future.
So-and-so? Did we make sure we saw so-and-so? Did we make sure we have to have one where we go to the future and have super advanced computer help us figure out what's going on?
Yeah, and to me there was no sense of danger at all. There was no sense of urgency. And even when she's like, when Commander Douchebag is like, "Hey, floppy hair Burnham, please don't." Sure, you can go ahead and do your thing.
I love that.
See, one day in the future, I'm going to be like, you're going to go into the past and be like, Vance, I got to save you. I'm going to be like, how do I know you're really Mikki? And you're going to be like, Vance, trust me, it's me. I'm going to be like, it is you, Mikki. That's going to be your my tell.
See, I don't have to tell you how you die.
That's it.
Notice how I don't have to tell you how you die.
That's it.
I swear, I know you. I know you. I know you.
I know you. It's.
I can't wait to meet in person. Someone who's like got this on mute is gonna be like, why are they making fun of me, man? They're gonna unsubscribe from the channel. They think we're making fun of them. We're totally making fun of Michael Burnham's hair.
It's Burnham. See, but no, like it. But it's one of those, like, when he's sitting there, and she's letting the clock run out, and they're like, we've got 10 seconds. I literally was like,
I did too.
I'm like,
I'm like, this is like an hour and 45 long. I'm like, wait, no, that's not how this works.
That is not like I'm like, bitch, you're gonna break the space time continuum because you got a complex. Let him do his thing. Dude's got weird ears.
They definitely rushed one of the countdowns too, because I was following along with the countdown, and they rushed the.
Yeah. They're like,
Yeah.
we got 90 seconds left. I'm like, yeah, but you're riding the turbo lift. Can't you make it like 5 minutes? Because like, dude, they know what you're making it.
Don't you have the thing that takes you anywhere you want very creepily?
I don't know if the program, maybe it has to be set up by the computer. Like I do, like that's one thing about the 30-second century I don't like. I don't like the over there. Like, why do you even have an innards of the ship now? I mean, you might as well have a TARDIS because it's like you don't really need to do that anymore. I mean, it's nice to have, but like what happened? Like to me, it's just I like 32nd century tech, but when you start thinking about it, you have to turn your brain off because you're like, no.
I will trade the weird, be able to like show up in your bedroom unannounced tech for the matter replicators that you can just make. Like, I need a gun.
That is cool. That is. I like that too. I like that. That is.
Excuse me. I'd like a bagel. Thank you.
Yeah, bagel, angel. Yeah, dude. Could you imagine? Pete? You're sitting there, you're like, pizza roll. Is your pizza roll? Is your pizza? Dude, dude, taco.
I don't want to make a whole tray of pizza rolls. I just want a couple.
Just a couple. Just that's it. No, like it really. I enjoyed seeing, at least from their perspective. And again, I tried to look at it from, okay, this is not the golden age of Trek. This is their thing. So let's look on it on their terms. So they're looking at their history, and let's try to be as respectful as I can, and not knock it. Like, let's not compare it to Voyager, but it's so fucking hard to not compare it to an episode that we've seen that's better. And again, I'm not comparing it to like other time travel stories. I'm comparing it to, no, this is almost a plug and play to Shattered from Voyager. And it's like, damn.
No, it is. And it's one of those, it's lazy to me. It's pandering. I feel it's pandering again. But it all had to happen on Discovery, right? They could only jump between Discovery.
Yeah.
And then my biggest thing was, how fucked are the Discovery sensors that they didn't notice that thing come onto the ship immediately?
Yeah.
As soon as it was realized as the time bug, honestly, I think the sensor should have noticed some sort of trait or like intruder alert at the very least. Unknown tech. There's unknown tech discovered above Discovery. Like, hey guys, Zora's like, yo, I think I got picked up a bug on that last planet.
Yeah, you're telling me Zora can sit there and say, hey guys, this flea farted over here, and I can tell, but yet this big bug that's over here going, hey, time warp, whoop, whoop, and we can't do nothing. So JD's
this important thing, and fuck you all.
Yeah, and Audrey, dang it, what's her, what's the Trill's name? Yeah, what?
Blue? No.
Arian?
No.
Adira. Adira is like, what's behind me? Man, report something! You heard something like 5 times, you're turning around, like, dude, report something!
Didn't Stamets see the spider?
He did, but he's like, oh, I'm going to wander over there. I mean, and you're hearing the clank, 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 clank. Bitch, report something!
Like, I'm like with a newspaper over there with like a manual or some shit. Like, going like, what the fuck?
Well, he's probably as confused as who's in what position as I am. That's why he didn't report it. He's like, I don't know who's in what spot. I gotta wait for Commander Douchebag to tell me too. No. So JD says they wanted the area moment to be a tear jerk moment, but because we never got to know her enough, it didn't feel like it mattered. Well, that and the fact that they changed actresses on who played Ariam in between seasons 1 and seasons 2, like that to me was like, who the fuck is this new lady in the suit? Like, what is going on here?
We had our tear jerk moment with her. We saw the memories. We got to relive that when she passed. Like, we got the tear jerk moment. We don't need it again. You might as well bring back Spock and kill him and then let us go through that again. Because seriously, it was pointless to, again, well, shouldn't have pointed out how they died. That's so silly. Shouldn't have been a different actress, as if she's probably not available. And I didn't know they changed her between episodes.
Yeah, because they brought that blonde lady. That blonde lady is the one in the first season.
Is she not the one in the prosthetics though?
No, not no. Yeah, I don't know if she was in this one. I don't know.
They Darth Vadered her. How rude.
Yeah, they took it. But they couldn't have her be in. They couldn't have the actress, so she played it in the first one, and then they wanted to keep her on, so they changed the lady in the second one and kept the actress on, and that's the blonde lady.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, but either way, totally understand. Again, a lot of what happened in this episode was filler. It wasn't pointless. It was pointless in the timeline that we're working with. It was, they lost 6 hours. They could have done that in half the episode and then realized they lost 6 hours and then tried to give us that, what are you going to do now that you've lost 6 hours? Now we have to wait till the next episode to find out what they're going to do with those lost episodes. And we only have 6 left.
Yeah.
So again.
But the last one is an extended episode, I heard. So you get more runtime out of that. But I mean, you're still right.
And extend it into another season and off. Again, with Lower Decks, it makes 0 sense to end this so soon. It is one of the most popular Star Treks I have ever experienced.
Lower Decks or Discovery?
With Lower Decks.
Oh, I was gonna say I don't think we're talking about the same Star Trek.
Discovery is not. I do not feel was well received.
It's got its like. I mean, there are things that I enjoy about it and I like, but I agree with you. I don't think it's well received. I think Picard it's hit or miss. I don't think it was well received.
Nope.
I don't think if it was the fact that they signed it on for 3 seasons, we would have got 3 seasons. I think they would have canceled the shit after the first one. I think that was a matter of personal politics of the actor getting in the way of the storytelling, and I think that's really shitty. Picard, yeah.
Really?
I do. I don't, because I do. Like, I love Patrick Stewart as a person, but I think him and Brent Spiner, I think they allowed their creative control card. It's like Hulk Hogan in WWE. Like, you let your creative control card control the storylines, and I think you need to step back and go, let me let the writers control this and see where the story takes it and let it happen organically. Because I'm sorry, but if you look at the current Star Trek world of Star Trek Picard, and you go back to our first 2 seasons of Picard, and go back to the end of Next Generation or DS9 even, those do not connect at all. Go to the 3rd season, and that feels very jarring from the first 2 seasons of Picard. And you ask, well, why? They're made by the same people, more or less, but it feels differently. And the reason is because the people in control aren't held to the same constraints. They basically told Patrick Stewart, fuck off, dude. We're going to go do this, and we're going to do it.
I love
Picard. Dude, it is the best season of. It's my favorite. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Moriarty. I mean, genius.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I immediately, as soon as I heard them tuning the whistle, it took me back to that episode so fast. As Farpoint. It took me back all the way to Farpoint when Riker meets Data. As a fan, I want that. I want to be drawn back.
Well, there's so much. Go back to the first episode of Picard season 3, and when those little things that are given birth, those are little miniatures of the first alien, the one that's in the encounter at Farpoint.
The jelly.
Yep. Yeah, that's what those are. Those are miniature. Yeah, go back and watch that. That's everything in that season is an Easter egg, and it's not. Yeah, and it's not needless or shameless or just a plug. It is everything in that is given thought and love and care. Whereas if you go back to the first season of Picard and you're like, this barely feels like like if you took Jean-Luc out of it and didn't have any data, like it would not feel Star Trek at all. Like you have hologram displays, which doesn't feel Star Trek. Nothing at all feels like Star Trek. I mean, you change.
That was another one that I was at the premiere. So, Patrick Stewart signed my Guinan hat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome.
I have friends that were at that premiere and they enjoyed it. And again, like there was a lot of things to like about season. Like there were elements, but as an overall story, it's like the universe itself does not feel like what we left.
Yeah.
I
just thought it was with Picard. It was so. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it didn't feel Star Trek-y. I get it.
Yeah.
Like it didn't feel it till the third season when we got the music, which is very triggering. They could have even done Faith of the Heart, and I still would have been like,
Well, it's those things where you can have different changes in music. Because we've had so much over the past, take modern Trek aside.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hell, even modern Trek. Look at Strange New Worlds. That feels very Star Trek.
Yeah.
And that takes place in the same first two seasons of Discovery. Put that side by side, and
that's why I think I like Lower Decks so much.
Yeah,
because it feels like Star Trek by fans for fans. I think
it feels like
is a true Star Trek fan, kind of like Seth MacFarlane is a
Orville. Yeah.
Orville feels more Star Trek than the first.
It does.
Picard.
It does. To me,
Star Trek actors in it than Star Trek.
Yeah. If Orville everyone complains about Orville being too funny. I'm like, so you didn't like Star Trek 4? Because that's my what's that?
It's my favorite.
Yeah, that's my favorite of the original movies, and it's always compared in my mind for favorite. Like if I'm in the mood for something lighthearted, it's Star Trek 4 is my favorite. If I'm in the mood for action, it's First Contact. But those two are always rivaled top two for my Star Trek movies. What's that now?
It's all about Khan for me.
You like Star Trek 2?
Impact. I want my space battle. I want all about the Khan.
No, those for me. Like if we're not talking next gen, like I think First Contact's the only good next gen movie. Like I don't like the other one. I hate
I grotesquely love Nemesis.
Oh my! You and I are no longer friends. Burnham Harris aside, we're not friends.
And I can't stand Insurrection. That's the longest
episode
ever.
It felt so cheap. The sets look cheap. It looks like you can just go push any of the sets over. What?
Where did they bring up Picard breaking the Prime Directive to bank? Did they bring it up in this?
Not that. They brought it up in Picard season 3 when Shaw is in, because he talks about him boinking one of the Baku, and I fucking love that. Like I'm like, dude,
Prime Directive to boink a Baku.
Dude, I'm like, you finally made Insurrection matter to me.
The only good thing to come out of that is Todd's lie. Over the Prime Directive, so you can get some.
But no, like if we're talking classic Trek movies, like for me, it's got to be Star Trek 4, because that was the first one that I actually. It always gave me goosebumps. Like that, I sat there watching it in my mom, because my mom used to clean my neighbor's house from across the street, and I'd go sit with her, and I could watch. Like I would watch Star Trek 2 on TV with her, but I didn't know what I was watching, and I was like, well, how could Spock die? He's on TV on Saturday nights. Like he doesn't die. It doesn't. So it didn't make sense to me. But Star Trek 4. At the beginning of that VHS tape, I would always see the advertisement for Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to see Data on. So to me, it always gave me the feels of what you want in an advertisement and to get you pumped. So I would sit through the entire movie just so I could rewind the tape all the way back and watch that 30-minute Next Generation segment. So I grew to love that movie, and it was so funny that I loved it, and I made a great message, and I didn't understand. I didn't. None of it made sense to me. Like, why are we not on the Enterprise? To me, I was like, I don't care if we're on the Enterprise or Bird of Prey or like.
Right. No, we used
the Bird of Prey.
We used Christopher Lloyd's Bird of Prey and turned it into a time machine.
The Bounty, yeah, yeah, the DeLorean spaceship part. You know the. But no,
it's filmed in my hometown.
Oh, is it?
I grew up in San Francisco. I grew up in the Bay Area, and so for me, that's where it connects. You know, my family lives in Alameda, next to the nuclear vessels. But
no, like
the Monterey Bay Aquarium was where we would go for field trips.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And so for me, that movie was so it's funny. I love the landing scene park with the guys with the dump truck. And they're like, did you see anything? I didn't see a thing.
Right.
We do not get paid enough for this. We're simple servants. I'm like, no, we didn't see shit.
But no, like people,
we didn't see shit.
But no, like people that rag on Orville or Lower Decks, like I always point to Star Trek 4, and I'm like, look at that. Like that whole movie is tongue in cheek, self-referencing, like.
Yeah, to me,
you know,
Orville is the TNG dialogue that we wanted but never got, and it's the funny. I'm the first episode where the dog's going down on himself in the background, or when he asked the krill guy to move over a little bit because he's off center. Like we've always like I know that every single time somebody popped up on a view screen, they were dead center in their captain's chair or whatever. But it would have been hilarious if like one of them they were just way off, and Picard's like, Worf, can you fix the screen?
It's clever dialogue. Like, and that's what's so funny about it is like it's always clever. And the thing that makes that show in its entirety so good, and I'm glad the fact that they got a 4th season. Yeah, it like we may have lost Lower Decks, but we gained Orville season 4. So I'm not.
We didn't lose it yet. It's not.
But
I make so much stuff from Lower Decks.
But the thing that was wonderful was the show started off hysterical, but still true to the Star Trek form. Yeah. But then when you get to the what are those cybernetic, the Isaac's people?
Yes.
When they have their the Kalon, when they have the best of both worlds moment and fucking invade, and you start seeing death all around, and I mean it's a slaughter, and I don't think you could have had that oh shit moment if you wouldn't have gone the entire time funny. I mean, you had funny. Oh shit! That was their Locutus moment.
Dead ass serious.
Yeah.
Like, we need to like. Oh man, we have been slacking off. Like what's up? We got complacent.
Yeah.
We got just comfortable.
Yeah.
Which is again what happened with Locutus.
Yeah.
Never would have happened if they were that comfortable just beaming over to a random ass ship they've never encountered before. And here's Guinan wigging out. Just don't do it. Run. Get the fuck back. I don't even suck dick if you have to, but get the fuck out of here and get the fuck away from the board. They have scanned us. They know where we live. We're fucked.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is like when Riker, when she's like, you can't go over there, and Riker in his arrogance turns back and says, I don't know, Guinan, they paid us a visit. It's only fair we return the favor. And it's like the arrogance.
She knows. Her entire species essentially was scattered to the wind and wiped out. This poor woman has been through so much. They tried to warn her about the Nexus. Oh no. They tried to warn her about it's just but when
Orville does that with the Kalon, and I love season 3. Like season 3 is even more serious. Like there's jokes and it's fun, but it's even more because it ups the game of seriousness and the politicalness of like how they do so. Like it's such a great show, and I sit there and I'm like, if you are a fan of the golden age of Trek,
You'll love
this
it.
is the show for you. If you're not a fan of modern Trek, this is the show for you.
Definitely. If you like Galaxy, you'll love, you know, yeah, Galaxy Quest is one of the best Star Trek movies out there. But it's true. And it's the reason a lot of us, and I mean, I want to venture to say, but for me especially, the way I got hooked on the original series, on those old scientists, was because, again, I wasn't around in 1966 to 69 when all that was on air. Obviously, I saw it later in life since I'm so much younger. Born in the 80s was just kidding, I'm a 70s baby. Watching it though and realizing, because I'm a whore for history, you know what I mean? And watching those episodes, knowing that these are controversial issues that our nation and our world was facing at the time, is what I love about Star Trek. It's what I loved about being able to look at these issues, the black and white issue with your final battlefields, which is, I don't even know if that's what it's called, but it's literally one of my favorite episodes in the whole wide world, because it's still to this day pertinent that this side thinks that they're superior and this side thinks they're superior, and they've been fighting for 2,000 years and everything has been destroyed and nothing that they love or that they were fighting for even exists anymore, yet they continue to fight over who is better, and they're mirror images of each other. That's Star Trek to me. Star Trek to me is seeing a topic and addressing it head on. War, having a Russian on the bridge of the Enterprise. I hate the interracial kiss. It's sexual assault if you really think about it. But it made a point then when a point needed to be made. That point doesn't need to be made now. But back then, for them to screw up every take that was meant for the Midwest, so they couldn't air a separate episode of them not actually ever kissing, like Shatner would look directly at the camera while it was happening, or do, you know what I mean? They purposefully sabotaged so that they had to use the kiss, right? And I did hear a rumor that it was supposed to be Spock and Uhura, but Shatner was like, it should be me. That's just a rumor. Who knows? I live in the era where we couldn't check each other, and so I just believe everything I've ever heard. I'm horrible. I'm horrible.
Well, that's the thing, sci-fi, I think you'll agree, sci-fi always works best when it's important issues of the day that is wrapped in, that Star Trek wrapper. But regardless of what wrapper it's in, whether it's a hospital or a war zone or school or whatever, important issues need to be spoken about. And even if it's not hammered over your head, it makes you think, and then you take that and you think about it throughout your day, and it speaks to your heart. And hopefully one day we don't need to think about those. We can think about other important issues that are out there, but that being said, we've been here for an hour, and Mikki, I love chatting with you. You are awesome.
I love doing
that
it. It's my favorite thing in the whole wide world.
Dude, it is great. It is great. So that being said, we'll see you next week, my friend. And hopefully we're not getting another filler episode. And if so, we'll bash that too. That being said, everybody at home, thank you for joining us. And my friend Mikki, see you later, my friend.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Bye, guys.
Get the stick.